Bank of America, foreclosures up 200%. Interest rates will stay low as long as the economy is in deflation. Okay, that's true. However, we've got 11 million people in the United States underwater, and we've got 2 million people in California underwater. So none of those people can tap into the low interest rates, right? You can't get in, you can't refi when you're underwater, right? Fishes are supposed to be underwater, houses aren't. And that's a big cheap. This is the second most important chart that I'll show you tonight. This is number of new mortgages going back to 1995. You can see this was one hell of a party. That was the greatest party in United States history. And this is the greatest hang in the world. So you can see what the government was able to engineer, but it's right back down to where it was. Borrowers are not borrowing, or they can't get, they would like to borrow, but they can't get the money. And private banks are not lending. The Federal Reserve cannot pass a law that says that banks have to lend, and they can't pass a law that says consumers, when they have too much debt, that they have to borrow. There's nothing the Federal Reserve can do. They can't mandate it, they can't make the law, and this is what's happening. Commercial property, be very careful, commercial property down 40%, but every 5 years you have to get a new loan, okay? If you see commercial property, you think it's way cheap, be very careful. Hasn't the implosion hasn't happened. Okay, we're going to talk about the United States economy. I'm going to show you something that's never happened before. This is our president. He says eventually, he's talking about the sharks. This is Keynesian economics. Eventually, they'll get full and they'll go away. And the meat that he's giving them is the debt. That's what we're doing. So what did the government do to solve everything? Okay, they did stimulus. Okay, what's stimulus? So they gave away $9.2 million. They gave $5 million to Wall Street. They gave $3 million to the GSEs, that's the government-sponsored entities, and they gave to us, they gave $2 trillion. Oh, these are trillions. Trillions, sorry. A trillion's a lot of money. It's $1,000 billion, but we just say, yeah, a trillion here, a trillion there. Before you add it up, you're talking about some real money, right? I mean, this is a lot of money. This is way more than people can comprehend. A trillion could be like 3 or 4 countries put together, the GDP. So it's a lot of money. Okay, this is where we get into the economics. If stimulus is such a great thing, right? If stimulus is, so they gave $8,000, so you would pay extra $150,000 for your house, but the IRS is going to give you $8,000. If it's so good, why don't we give everybody a check for $18,000? Why so cheap? Why don't we go $28,000? Right? If stimulus is so good, why doesn't everybody time someone puts $10 in black, the government comes in, puts another $10 in the black and doubles down? This would stimulate job growth in Las Vegas, right? What I'm telling you is stimulus is a fraud, okay? Rule number 1 in economics is there is no such thing as a free lunch. If someone gets a free lunch in school, it has to come from somewhere. Somebody has to pay for it. And it's either going to be the US, the money's going to come from the US taxpayer, or it's going to be debt. But either way, the US taxpayer is going to be on the hook. So stimulus is not stimulus, it's a transfer payment.